Imagine a method beyond limitation that improves how every person learns, from the youngest child with Down syndrome to gifted students and everyone in between. A method that unlocks university gates for students from underprivileged backgrounds and can also prevent dementia in the elderly. That method is the Feuerstein. At the Feuerstein Institute, they believe that everyone, regardless of age, etiology, or disability, has the immeasurable ability to enhance their learning aptitudes and heighten their intelligence. With the talk, The Transformation to Think and Learn Better, they will try to make an approach to this method.
Good evening. Thank you for coming. Let me just ask you who was here in one of my presentations, just that for whom it's the first time that you meet our ideas? Okay, so somehow it's more introductory. Now I will, but I want everyone to gain from it, and it's a panel format. I will try to share with you the philosophy, the ideas of the method and the institute which runs the method. And then I would like to present to you three colleagues of mine, which I'm proud to have them here. And I would like I want you to meet Karine. She's one of the steering committee of ICOT, very important organizer and leader of this wonderful, wonderful event. And I thought that Karine, in this panel, will share with us the place of the Feuerstein method in the big family of thinking and learning skills, which you really, it's a marvelous, marvelous meeting of the family of thinking and learning skills. And then Genova, she's one of the heads of organization which is called ISV in Melbourne, which is one of our agents in the world. We have 84 training centers in 40 countries. And I would like Jenny a little bit to describe the correlation, the connection between the institute and what's your vision and how you deliver it in Australia. And then we have Nikki. She is part of a school. I don't remember the name of the place. I'll never remember it, so don't try now again. Something in my structures is a little bit blocked. But you will describe and show us a short video of how to implement it in the school environment. And I think in this way we have somehow covering a part of what we do. We have a friend here who applies our dynamic assessment. If you want to add, please jump into the train, and we would love to hear you. And let me ask you, how many of you are school teachers? Teachers. How many of you are principals of schools? Okay. How many of you are consultants or something else, not teachers? Okay. So most of you are teachers and principals. So let me talk. I will talk to you. Let me try to. We are here in a big family, wonderful family which believes that it's important to teach thinking and learning skills. You heard so many. We're just in the third day. Third or second? On the second day. We finished the second day, let me share with you my feelings that we are, overwhelmed by so many wonderful ideas, which have so much in common. Let's teach our children to think and to learn. It's so intuitive. And it's also very common here to say, why doesn't it happen? Why do we talk just about islands in the global picture who use one product, one project or another? Why isn't it less clear than mathematics? We teach 1,500 hours children from K to 12 mathematics. How many mathematicians will we find? Do we need in the society? I hope no one is a mathematician here, then I don't want to insult anybody. But, okay, but why do we teach 1,500 hours of math from K to 12? Because we believe that's the language of science, of technology, so everyone has to learn it. How many hours do we spend on thinking and learning skills? How many schools? How many countries? Very few relative to the global picture. So you can hear it here. There is a concern in the climate. Am I right, Karine? There's a concern. There is a feeling that why our message is not really changing the world and helping so many people. Let me try, after saying that, saying that, I would like a little bit to give the uniqueness of the Feuerstein method, not saying that anybody else is not good, everyone is fine, everyone is good, but try to give you the added value, something which is unique to the Feuerstein method, which I'm not sure you'll find in other areas. The Feuerstein method is very much concerned and focused on the human potential. If you ask me what was the contribution of my late father to the world of psychology, as a student of Jean Piaget in the 50s, was the emphasis on human potential. Vygotsky was talking about ZPD, Zone of Proximal Development, but Feuerstein took this idea without to know Vygotsky in the 50s in Geneva as a young student of Jean Piaget. Vygotsky was not known then so much outside Russia, outside the Soviet Union. And he passed away young, as a young man in his 30s. The idea of human potential, the ability of every child to be more than he is today, is the most important message of this discipline. Thinking skills, learning skills are just the second step. The first step is, what's your goal? Why thinking skills? Why learning skills? When we talk about thinking and learning skills, we talk about those who will never fulfill, will never materialize the potential that they have without those skills. And that's a very unique point. For example, I had a conversation today with a lady. She runs a school somewhere in Southeast Asia. And I asked her, what's your problem? She came to me after one of my presentations, and that's the way I'm talking. That's the way we talk. Don't just take our method or a different method because it's nice, because it has a good reputation. What's your problem? And then we came, after short discussion, to the point. And by the way, this was, I think, my first discussion in Melbourne, when I asked you, the people of ISV, what's wrong? And if I remember well, you were talking the same thing that the lady was talking to me today about those students who are in the average, not special ed, not gifted, in the middle. Okay, they get the middle grades, not stupid, not very smart, not very successful, not failures, and they're silent. There is special ed, okay. There are programs for gifted, wonderful. What do we do with this average, with this child who is not bad, who is not good? And I'm not sure that his parents are very happy with our schools all over the world. And here, that's a problem. So when we talk about thinking skills, we don't talk generally. Although we think that, yes, every school should have it, every child should have it. But we try to solve a problem. And we like to be measured. Measure us. Don't take us because of our nice eyes. Don't take us because of our wonderful messages. Don't take us because of thinking skills is so good. Measure the success of the method. And here I want to begin with something which we find today is a very important tool and application, which was designed and established by my late father in the 1950s, when he understood that most of the testings that we test our kids are making, I want to choose my words and to be, should it be polite or political? Neither? What do you mean neither? Also, both?
You don't have to be polite, you don't have to be political.
What does it mean, Jenya? Not to be polite and not to be political.
Just say it as it is.
Polite or political? Just say what you think. Okay. So I'm saying that I think, and I'm not going to be polite. In the UK, when I ask the question, say, don't be political, but be polite. Let me be honest. I'm concerned, and that's the way we think, about the huge number of children which are labeled as learning disabled. We talk today in the Western world around 30% of a classroom. It's very interesting that most of the kids which are assessed are coming from, I'm coming. Here I am. Most of the kids which are assessed are coming from families who can afford the assessments. For example, in Israel, it's very interesting that the learning disabled people are in the wealthiest parts of the state. The poorest part of the state, there are no learning disabled kids. So from time to time I said, why should they be wealthy? It's better to be poor and not to have disabled children. But the problem is money. They don't have the money to make the assessments. So let's talk about learning disabled. What did it do to the teachers? Did this epidemic of learning disabled children empower the teacher? Are the teachers today strong? Or are the teachers today weak? Every little problem, and let me be a little bit provocative, you send the child to an assessment. Schools became more a medical center than an education center. Am I right? Everything. Okay, you need a label, you need a label, you need a label. It's not my fault, the teacher says himself. Am I responsible to his chromosomes? So that's not the way we think. So here's the depth of the Feuerstein method, in the sense that we believe that the children are not learning disabled. They are teaching disabled. Why? We don't understand their potential. We don't give them the tools to materialize their potential. And then we blame them. Now, I'm not talking to you, dear teachers. I'm talking to the climate of our culture. No one expects too much from education. Everything is chromosomes. So let's assess the children, let's measure them, let's understand, let's label them, let's classify them, and it's not our fault. So we are coming from a different philosophy. Every child has a potential. And every child, I'm not saying there are not dyslexic kids here and there, or ADHD kids here and there. From time to time, when I see the number of kids which are assessed in Israel as ADHD, I think we have to put in the water, like we put fluor, against teeth issues. Let's put Ritalin. We'll be a zombie. Culture, people, very polite, easygoing, not driving as crazy in the highways. Why shouldn't we put some Ritalin in the water? So many ADHD kids. And as I said in one of my prior presentations, I said, we let them sit in front of the screen 5 hours a day, and then we ask ourselves, why are they ADHD? We trained them to be ADHD. Did we give them skills of regulation of behavior? So what I'm trying to say, our job in this method, when I'm coming to school, is to find the potential of the kids. We become the advocates in front of the school, the teachers, and the parents. See, the child has a potential. He could be much more than he is. And then to give the tools, the cognitive tools to the school to materialize the potential. Less LD children, and measure us. less children who are in this transparent middle, average child who cannot make, doesn't fail but cannot make much better. So the first thing, and I would like to present, and then I think Nikki will talk a little bit more on the IE, and I'll talk a little bit and you'll show how it works, show you how do we assess a child and how do we assess a school. I mean, don't talk about, when we come to education, about the individual, we talk about big numbers. How do we assess schools? And let me a little bit show you. So the first thing why we choose this assessment is to solve the culture problem. In many countries, we have schools which have children from different parts of the society. Not every part of the society is really Western, but the schools are Western, technologically, philosophically, the way we teach. And the children come in many countries of the world from different cultures who doesn't fit exactly the way of thinking. They are smart. So one of the problems which were erased in the 16th century, in the 60s, and in the last century, was our tests fair? So this is an example of a test which was designed as a content-free test, which won't give a better beginning point to somebody who comes from the Western world, the Western culture, versus a child who doesn't come exactly from the Western culture. But what happened to this Raven test? That it failed again to show that children from minorities or from different cultures can make it. Why? Why? No language, no content, no strategic which could be more near to one culture than another. What's wrong with this Raven test? Professor Feuerstein said, you know what's wrong? The child, you can create culture-fit test, but the examinee comes to the test with his own culture. Children who are playing puzzles. By the way, if somebody needs puzzles, we have 2 closets full with puzzles. We can ship them everywhere in the world. So children are, before they begin to talk, they already make puzzles. So put a child who makes puzzles from his first year and compare it to a child who never saw such a puzzle. And we have time limitations to this test. So who will do better? A child with a computer at home all the time does things like that? Think about the concepts which are needed here. Number 2 is right in A4 because the number is correct versus number 3. But if a child is not sensitive to the concept of number or precision, he would say, okay, 3, 2 dots. Let's take A7. If a child doesn't have the clear concept of precision in colors, he can give me number 5 as an answer and not number 6. Okay, it's the same figure, but not the same color, so what? So the culture is everywhere. The second question was, and that's the question which we began with, is the intelligence an object? Something which is like this table which you can measure. Intelligence today, will it be like the intelligence tomorrow? Or is it are we open systems? So if we talk about human potential, we believe that we are open systems. So how do you measure something which is changeable, which has a potential? So here comes, and I will jump a little bit because we don't have so much time, and the target groups of this assessment are from mentally retarded people to normative groups with learning deficiencies, high-level groups which have the feelings that they came to the ceiling glass, and minority groups which fail or have trouble to be part and to mainstream with the regular culture. So the assessment goal is to find the human potential. The assessment situation, I'll come to it in a minute. The assessment battery is aimed, and I won't touch it now in my short presentation. I want to give my colleagues also to talk, and the interpretation is very different. And let me okay. The assessment provides us answer for 4 questions. Where is the best place, class, school to materialize the potential? What is needed to materialize the potential of the individual? What can be changed, taking in account the limitation of sources, economical time, etc., and what's the best way to do it? So the assessment situation is very unique. I'll show some examples, and then I'll let some others to talk. There is a pre-test. We give many, many tests which check thinking, different thinking, critical thinking, like abstract thinking, like memory, like spatial orientation, etc., etc., etc. Very similar to other intelligence tests which you know. The revolution is in point number 2, when we have inside the test, built in the test, an intervention phase where we mediate strategies to the child. And then we give him post-test, which is similar to the pre, but different. I'll give you some examples. Sorry to jump. Okay, that's a test which checks analogical thinking. So I can give him different types of questions. I give him the mediation, the intervention, and then I give post-test. Why? I'm interested in the delta. Could he use my strategies? Could she transfer them? How far could she take them? My friends, we found in special ed in different places in the world gifted kids who came from minorities, who were measured wrongly. But once you looked for the potential, for the ability to make the shift from pre-test to post-test, you found intelligent children or youngsters. So first thing is really to find, and let me jump, and give one case study and try to finish by that. And the case study is about a girl. Her name is Noah. Noah was a Noah. Where is Noah? Okay, Noah is not here. Oh, Noah is here. Yes. Too many case studies. Okay. No, is not here. Okay. Let's take Tarko. Okay. Wonderful. That's Tarko. Okay. Tarko is an Ethiopian child. His mother, he lost his father, and he was the adult in the home. I mean, he knew how to help his mother and his grandmother who lived with him. We lived with them to go, to buy, to make shopping. He understood, but he was very, very low learner. He was sent by a committee, by a placement committee of the Ministry of Education in the south part of Israel to a special ed class. He was brought to us to assessment. We gave him the Ray complex figure. This is the Ray complex figure, known test, and we asked him to draw it. Now you can see the two circles there. Yes? Can you see it? So instead of drawing 1, he drew 2. You see? There was just number 13, but he was drawing 2. In one there are 3 eyes, but in one there are 5. In this, for example, square, you can find it in number 18. There is just 1 rectangle. How many rectangles did he do? So the concept of number, 2 instead of 1, 10 instead of 1, and the spatial orientation is terrible if you check it carefully. My friends, with a short mediation, which showed him what's the structure, the rectangle, 2 diagonals. This was the change. Not 100%, but we could give him, I did it myself, with a short intervention, 10 minutes, of what should be the beginning point, how to use counting, how to use left and right, bottom and top and bottom. This was the change with Tarko, etc., etc., etc. You can see the change after 10 minutes of assessment. What I'm trying to say, if you use the dynamic assessment in your schools, you begin to see that children which you never thought have a chance can make it. The other hand is what we call instrumental enrichment, and that's intensive thinking skills program. It's not just giving them strategies It's not just talking about different strategies. It's a lesson. It's not less investment than learning math or learning a second language. It's a language. And if you think we can do it just by, yes, I like this climate of thinking skills. It's important. But those who need it, who are in the middle or the lowest part of the curve, they need this intensive learning of thinking skills to materialize their potential. I think I'll invite you, Nikki, to take it over from here. Please come and organize your, and I want you, you can please take the computer out. Okay, thank you. In the meantime, I'll just finish till you are organizing yourself. And the beauty about it is that it's done also in the school setting. The dynamic assessment is given to groups of 15, I think you need a computer. Yeah. 15 to 20 children. Then we give coaching to the teachers. Who is your child? And they begin to see the children in a different way. They could be very smart, they could be gifted, but underachievers. And then, with the other hand, we train the trainers to teach the children the thinking and learning skills in a way that will bring them and materialize we like to be, as I said before, no, I think you need a hair computer. No, you can just, don't worry. Don't worry, it's like a tractor, this computer. You don't have to be polite with him. I have them for 1 year and then I have another one. Thank you. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that the idea is really to teach a language, to find the potential and to teach a language. And Nick, you can begin to talk till your computer is ready. Yeah.
Thank you. My instrumental enrichment journey commenced about 4 years ago when I was lucky to participate in the training down at independent schools in Melbourne in Australia. In that time, I spent a week down at independent schools and learnt about this new program. And at the time, our school, we were looking at different programs to have our point of difference in our community, and also a program that could target whole classrooms and not just the bottom 10% or the top 10%. A program that we could go in and systematically and intentionally teach all the thinking skills that the students would require to take with them in their toolkit in their journey beyond school. So I'll just get this started now, hopefully. Bear with me, the technology, Rafi. So initially when I returned back to school, I'd learnt this amazing tool that I think in the training had transformed and changed my role as a teacher. And I'd taken off my teacher hat and moved on to the role of a mediator, focusing in on the key areas of the mediated learning experience, which Rafi had referred to before. In that time, I was given a group of students who were at that bottom 10%, my three little friends that were disengaged. They were the failures of the system. They had a history of failure. They were disengaged. They weren't really interested in any of their learning. They were just going and working through their time at school. And so these three teenage, pimply, smelly, 15-year-old boys were allocated to me. And I went in with my new toolkit of returning from Melbourne and said to them, let's learn together. I'm learning. Let's see what we can do here with this program. And I know these students we started with, and they found it quite difficult to focus. There was lots of impulsivity. They basically didn't believe that they had anything to offer in the learning environment. And these students with the program began to think of themselves as thinkers. And about 2 weeks after I started the program, it was one of those special aha moments out on the playground duty where these boys came up and stopped me and said, "Oh, can we come and meet with you again? We want to do this. We want to work through this program with you in our own time." And I thought, you know, the eyes that we were talking about in some of the previous lectures, the eyes of learning, I could see that these people were ready to take charge and become active learners. And that was an exciting time, and that's when I saw the power of what the program does. And one of the students said to me, "I never actually thought of myself as a thinker," and that was a key time. So armed with my little mediated learning, I call them my mediated learning minions, because they were able to turn the mediation around and they were able to mediate with each other. They were able to, the mediation of competence, they were able to share successes and grow. And that was really important for them as students. Now, excuse me while I just... Okay. I'll just keep talking while they're working through. So we had other options of other programs at the time, and again, as I said before, that intentionally and sequentially teaching, I liked the fact that there was language involved. It was also that the key... Pardon? I don't know. I liked the fact that in part of the mediated learning experience, that transcendence, the attaching these thinking skills to life outside the classroom, to the sporting fields, to the... one student spoke about their horse riding experience and their successes. It was a critical time for all of these students to be able to apply that learning outside the classroom, and they could do that. Where's my little friend gone? Okay. So I wanted to show you a map that we have devised for our students, and we teach them that language of elaboration, input, elaboration and output, and we use those specific cognitive functions that and that language within our interactions within the classroom. The teachers use that within maths, they use that within science, in PE, and the students use that in their interactions. So when I say the mediated learning minions, the principal said to me after we'd got the program moving, it's like talking to a whole little mini army of you and your words that you use. And that, I think that was empowering for both the students and for me too in getting this program happening. So I was hoping to show you this film that we created.
You need to duplicate.
I don't know. It's not... You talk. That's it. That sounds good. Ah, happy days.
Beautiful.
Happy days.
Miracles happen from time.
Yay. Okay. So let's just... And you'll recognise the eye test. Here's the cognitive function. So all of our students have this on their table. It's up in the classroom, it's around the school, and our teachers that we've now trained as mediators, they're not necessarily trained in instrumental enrichment yet. We're still in that training phase, but they're all trained as mediated learners in the mediated learning experience. So they're using this language all the time, and you know, initially people were saying, oh, you might need to change those words, you might need to sort of dumb it down a bit, but those students, even the ones with the expressive and receptive language issues, that bottom 10% that people would think were not capable, could easily communicate with each other and mediate gifted and talented students as well using this language. And there they are, my mediated learning minions that I was talking about. So from there, what do we have? We need to go and talk to our school board and our school executive and let them know why this is important. So To do that, and in my experience in talking with other people about the instrumental enrichment program, and they say, what did you do when you went back to school? Why did the school take it on board? And I think communicating to the executive in their common language, so things like time, where are we going to fit this in, and saying to them, you know, this is value adding to the curriculum. It's not a separate program, it's an infused program that adds to what they're already doing, and having that value there. I may have suggested to them that it would be actually saving them money, because my three gentlemen, the teenagers that I started with, had a whole history of interventions, and none of them had worked. But this connected with them and empowered them as thinkers. They actually are completing Year 12 at school at the moment, which was a miracle for them and something that they hadn't thought about at this stage. We wanted a point of difference in our community. What were we doing that was different from everybody else? And I also went in armed with evidence and my mediated learning minions that came with me, and they helped the school executive and mediated the instruments to the school executive, which was a powerful moment for both the students and for the executive as well. So after this meeting, we decided as a whole school year level, we picked Year 7 because it's our greatest intake year, and we committed twice a week for an hour session. We trained at independent schools another staff member and trained the teachers as mediated learners, because it was important for those other teachers or mediators to be in the classroom with us during instrumental enrichment so they could draw and transcend the learning that was going on. We came up with a cognitive function of the week that we had up on our staff room wall, and the teachers knew. We'd sent an email as well. They knew what we were talking about, what needed to be covered, so that tying in and infusing of the cognitive functions. And then we collected data, because the bean counters at school, they need data. They need to know this is working. They need to know this is making a difference. So all of the students completed a cognitive survey, a thinker profile of someone they thought was a great thinker, and also a personal thinking profile from the beginning of the program and again at the end. And we also journaled with them the mediated writing tasks, which was really powerful to see how their stories changed. So to finish, so these are some of the powerful reflections that they might be interesting to read. The other day my dad was fixing my mum's car door. He was repainting it until he made a huge mistake. He accidentally painted the wrong part of the door. I asked him if he had a plan of where he was painting, and he said no. So I can tell if people have a plan or not. I've seen changes in the way I think and approach different situations. I now go into things with a plan in my head, and I try to stick to that plan until that plan isn't working for me. I try to find similarities and differences and find a strategy to solve problems. I now use more than one source of information for my schoolwork, so that you can see that language is in their reflection is coming through as well. Again, an example, we'd say to them, give us an example of how you show self-control and impulsivity. I don't think I've talked back to my parents in weeks, which is good. So they can apply that at home as well and identify that in their interactions with people, other people. My accuracy has improved because I stop, think and read the questions properly now, and my accuracy is about 80 out of 100. So this is our film that independent schools created with us. We might need some noise. Hopefully that'll work. And you can see some of the students and parents reflect,
so the thing that really
and the principal.
appealed to me for the Feuerstein program, I guess, was the accessibility for all students, no matter of their ability level, and I guess the opportunity for them to really make leaps and bounds in their thinking skills, their processing of information, and also that it was a program that we could utilise across multiple year levels as well.
As a school, we were looking for a way to build upon our students' cognitive skills and thinking skills. We selected Year 7s because that's our highest intake year, and we thought if we can target these students and set them up from the beginning with a toolkit or a kit of thinking skills that they'll be able to take with them and throughout the rest of their studies. The students really enjoy coming into some of their favourite time with us.
What I like about AE is that I have more own independence, so I don't have to refer to a teacher when it's asking me to do a certain question, and I'm more confident in my own work.
The Feuerstein program was fantastic in that it seemed to engage students who sometimes might have struggled, and it was really surprising to see how they enjoyed doing the tasks and working through the instruments and asking the questions, and then we'd pose them another question. But the fact that they were so engaged was really, I suppose, pivotal in realising that it was sort of for everybody.
It helps you think about your thinking, and it helps you think through certain strategies and helps you with the schoolwork.
My role as a mediator is to identify with the students, make sure that I let them know my intent, the importance of the lesson, and then mediate the meaning and the importance of the time that we have together, and then try and bridge that into real life examples with the students, drawing on their knowledge base and focusing in on those cognitive functions that we have decided they need.
I've got a massive list of wonderful changes that I've seen in the students that they've shared with me as well. Increased maths results, slowing down and reading the question rather than racing it and putting something that wasn't so useful for them.
And even the boys in the football field have noticed that if they think of the play that's coming, then they'll be able to position themselves in a better position.
I found that during the program I'm more confident in my own work, but I'm also my SAC results and all my test results are a lot better because I'm breaking down the question before answering it and taking my time rather than going straight into question trying to finish the test as soon as I possibly can.
Their ability to plan and process information in different ways than they would have previously. Certainly time management has been a big change in some of the students as well, so just their organisational ability, their ability to manage their time both here at school but also at home. They've spoken about the changes that they've noticed in themselves. Sequential thinking and planning, that has obviously been an obvious difference from a classroom teacher point of view, as well as they've seen the students engage with work in a whole range of different curriculum areas in more improved ways in terms of their thinking and how they go about their work in a day-to-day basis.
If the strategy I'm using to try and find the answer isn't working, I'll think of different ones, or maybe I'll just skip it and come back to it so they don't waste time.
My bedroom, my mum's noticed a lot that it's quite a bit cleaner than it has been past years.
Changes has been fantastic. She's more organised at home. When it comes to her homework, she's more organised. She comes home in the afternoons and she's straight into it. Her schoolwork, science and maths grades have increased tremendously. She's become home with awards, which is fantastic for her self-confidence. So beforehand she had a low self-esteem when it came to schooling. And I think it's really helped that way.
She's more planned, she's enjoying her schoolwork, she gets home, does her homework straight away without being asked. She finds it easier to write lists down, she's being more confident in doing her studies.
They'll come up and they'll have stopped, they've actually think about it and they walk away and I smile and they smile because they actually didn't need me. They've actually been able to think for themselves. The mediated learning experience and that model in teaching has certainly changed or impacted on how I teach my everyday lessons, and that's not just in Year 7, it's also in my VCE lessons as well.
Making sure that you're opening the learning up for students and then being able to focus in on those thinking skills that they require to take them through to VCE and beyond to be effective members of society.
So I'll finish that off there. You can see how instrumental enrichment has created changes in both myself, the students that we work with, the school environment, the home environment, and ultimately within society as well. This was the Christmas card at the end of last year that we received from one of the students. We've now implemented the program we've moved into the second phase of the modules. With our Year 8s, so all of our Year 7s and all of our Year 8s are completing instrumental enrichment, and instead of getting the coffee cup and the chocolates at the end of the year, this card meant a lot to us because of the change that this student could notice in their lives. So I'll hand over now to
Genya.
Genya. I don't know how to turn it
Genia, well, no, it doesn't work.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Genova. I was a school principal of a K-12 school for 21 years, and for the last 3 years I am working with an organisation called Independent Schools Victoria, which is the umbrella organisation of all of the independent schools in Victoria, some 210 schools. I've been fortunate enough to be involved with the Feuerstein programs for the last 18 years. Karen Morrison, who will speak next, and I have been colleagues for more than 25 years, and I was very fortunate in our school to be able to train 2 people in the Feuerstein method, one of them being Karen and another person, and we introduced this into our school some 16 years ago. The involvement with Independent Schools Victoria, as I mentioned, has been for the last 4 or 5 years. We were fortunate enough, with the support of the Australian government, to offer and to introduce the Feuerstein program to the independent schools in Victoria. We had the opportunity, through a significant government grant, to be able to offer Feuerstein training to some 200 schools, 2 teachers from each school, and over a 2.5 to 3 year period we trained some 300 teachers in the Feuerstein method, and the implementation has taken place in some of our schools, significant implementation. Why the Feuerstein program over other cognitive intervention programs? For us, the big difference for Karen and myself was the mediational aspect. It wasn't a program where kids sit in front of a computer, correct, self-correct, play games, but it was the whole aspect of mediation. It was also, we recognised, as Nikki said, that it was a program that intentionally and sequentially taught every thinking skill for a child, or an adult for that matter, to become a scholar. And we were able to say, and I experienced it myself as a principal, and we were able to say to other principals, if you give this time, you will save time. And we all know the lament in schools. Where do I take it from? Do I take it from the wellbeing program? Do I take it from the kitchen garden program? Do I take it from history? Do I take it from maths? And we were able to say, if you give this 2 to 3 hours a week, you will ultimately be able to save time. And in fact, this is what has happened in schools that have successfully implemented the program. It makes the children more effective learners, and certainly the teachers more effective teachers. And that's one of the significant things that we noticed and that Nikki touched upon. It changes us as educators. And I remember being struck when I heard, I was fortunate enough on a number of occasions to meet with Professor Feuerstein and of course with Rafi. And one of the things that sticks out in my mind the most is when Professor Feuerstein said to us, remember that when you point your finger at the child, that these 3 fingers are pointing back at you. And it's very important for us to recognise that through this process we change as educators. So the mediational aspect was important, and the other important thing was we weren't teaching kids to be good at dots or to be good at finding their way around or to be able to read a map better. All of these instruments were bridged into academic subjects at school, into real life situations, and encourage students to look from other perspectives and for other points of view. So we're 3 years down the track after the government grant. We are working very hard to make the program sustainable, to offer training to teachers and to increase the range of programs that we offer in our schools. And Rabbi Rafi touched upon the fact that there are the assessment programs, there is the instrumental enrichment standard, which is for children from the ages of, let's say, 9 or 10 right through to adulthood. There is the basic, which is for the children, the very young children in the early years. The new instrument, which is called Tactile, and we are introducing all of those programs and offering it to our schools and to other schools in Australia to take advantage of those. So we are looking forward to increasing our repertoire, to encouraging others to do the training and to show the results of things that happen, like in Nikki's school, in Victory Lutheran College, and in other schools that have introduced the program. Thank you.
I know it's been a very long, intense day, so I promise I'll try and keep to 2 minutes so you can all get out and take a breath. But regarding ICOT, the International Conferences of Thinking, people like you, people who are open-minded and want to come and hear about different things and new ideas, and way that we can work together, work in our own context, develop our own ideas further, to really see what we can do to, well, in the big picture, to make the world a better place where people are more able to do the things that they really can do, given the right sort of support along the way, the right mediation and different opportunities. And I first heard Professor Feuerstein at ICOT several years ago in Singapore, and I came away thinking, I have to learn more about this. I really want to know more. And listening to him speak, it wasn't talking only about different ways of working with different people of all ages, with different needs and abilities. It really came from the heart and the soul. It was real sincerity and authenticity about it. It wasn't trying to sell a program or push, wow, what great things we can do, but really what is possible if we really try and read the markers along the way to see what is needed for each individual. And at ICOT, that's so much what we want. We want to bring thinkers together, thinkers who can really help us gain insights into different ways of approaching the things we want to do. People from all different countries, from all different backgrounds, who have been doing research, practice, developing ideas and have so much to share. And when I heard Professor Feuerstein, the word neuroplasticity wasn't around. These days, neuroscience and neuroplasticity have become buzzwords. But he was already talking about things like that before there was even such a thing as an MRI. He was saying intelligence is not fixed. Well, when I was at Teachers College, they talked about getting a number with IQ tests, and that's who you are and who you're going to be. But Professor Feuerstein didn't say anything like that. In fact, it was quite the opposite, that everybody can grow and develop and learn more. And when you think about that, how wonderful it is that there's not a lid on what you can learn, what your students, your family, people you know can learn. And one of the sayings that I remember so much is, don't accept me as I am. Now, when Professor Feuerstein said that, I was thinking, well, in Australia we'd say, hang on, what do you mean don't accept me as I am? I'm me, I'm unique, I'm who I am. But what he was saying, he would often preface with love, saying, if you love me, don't accept me as I am. He was saying there's so much more to people than you see, that's the first impressions. And, for us we see in all our different work, students we work with, people we work with, that we only see part of the story. And how much of the untold stories can this sort of work take us further? And with International Conferences on Thinking, we really want to invite people from different countries, from different places, from different ways to learn more so that we can all share together. The learning isn't just the people up on the stage talking, but when you go out of here and talk to another person, well, what did you think about that? What are your ideas? How can we develop this further? How can I take it back to my place? And that's how things grow. And today I was caught by a few people from Australia saying, do you know, since ICOT was in Australia 10 years ago, so much has already changed in so many ways. And that's what we all want to do, to take back to our own cities, our own towns, our own countries, things we've learned, and share it so that everybody can benefit from it. And we certainly see a place for the work of the Feuerstein Institute in ICOT in different ways. And this session really only gave you an overview, but to be able to actually see the instruments, hold on to them, be mediated through them, and have a laugh, and also deep breaths are some of the things you do, but see, it's possible for everybody to do so much more given the right opportunities. And through ICOT, we want to make sure that places like the Feuerstein Institute, the gurus who you've been hearing today and plenaries, but also the people talking from their own experiences in their classrooms, in their schools, all getting together and sharing. And we're very glad you're here, and very glad that you've had a chance to hear Rabbi Rafi Feuerstein speak today about the Feuerstein Institute, and know that through ICOT we want to keep sharing ideas, and if you know really good things happening in your country too, don't be shy to share them with us. And we're really glad that you're all here in Bilbao this week. Thank you very much.
We need somebody to take a photo. Okay.
So, thank you for coming, sharing, giving us the ability to share with you our ideas. Don't hesitate to contact us if you want more information. Our website is Feuerstein Institute, and you can Google it. And let's hope together, Karin, as one of the really leaders of this ICOT wonderful organization, a movement, that we all succeed to bring this message one way or another to many more children, teachers in the world. Thank you so much. Good evening.
Would you ask her to take a photo of us?